So we are very pleased this week to welcome the Legacy of Hope Foundation's Giwen, Coming Home, Truth-Telling from the 60s Scoop. The Legacy of Hope Foundation is a national Indigenous-led charitable organization founded in the year 2000 with the goal of educating and raising awareness about the history and the many legacies of the residential school system. These include the direct and ongoing impacts on First Nation, Métis, and Inuit survivors, their communities, and their descendants. And their mission is to educate towards creating a just and equal relationships of reconciliation and healing for all Canadians, to expand awareness of and access to the rich legacy of the contributions of Indigenous peoples in Canada and the world, and to make known the histories of Indigenous peoples in Canada, including those of injustice.
This exhibit is, so much that it is so much an opportunity for Canadian society to have an opportunity to learn, have a bit of an inside look at what life was like, what the experience was for those individuals, for at least this group of individuals that have experienced being taken from their communities, from their homes, and adopted out to, in many cases, in fact, probably in most cases, non-Indigenous families, non-Indigenous communities. So there was no connection in those homes that they were adopted to who they are as Indigenous people. The beautiful thing about this exhibit is that it's an exhibit of survivors. So these individuals, they've shared their stories with us to give us that inside view, to give us that experience, but it's a group of people that don't have to continue to tell their stories.
So for those of you who aren't familiar with the 60s Scoop, it really referred to that practice of taking or scooping up Indigenous children and placing them in foster homes. This continued for a long time, and it was estimated that 20,000 Aboriginal children were taken from their families or fostered out. And they were sent primarily to middle-class white families as part of this reculturing of our people. In 1977, about 15,000 Indigenous children were in care of welfare authorities, and this is estimate based from Indian and Northern Affairs. They represented 20% of all Canadian children living in care, and even though Indigenous children at that time made up less than 5% of the total population. And I think if you looked at the statistics today as well, you would find that that number is even greater. So I think we have a lot of work to do, and there's a lot of people working across the country to make changes to this.